I also have two cats named Kitty and Bean. You're right, Chuck. You can't pick up a newspaper. You can't turn on a television set. You can't turn on a radio without hearing about the international economic crisis that's been caused by something that we've really been complaining about in Cleveland since about 2000. Tony remembers back in the fall of 2000, we went to the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland and said, the Federal Reserve Bank has some unique authority to help stop what we see going on. Remember, this is 2000. We had 3,300 private mortgage foreclosures in this county in 1995. By 2000, that number had more than doubled. We went to the Fed and said, help, and they helped. They had a nice conference for us. It was a great lunch. They thanked us very much. In March of 2001, the topic was predatory lending in Ohio, and they sent us on our way. And they did nothing. I'm being facetious, obviously. In 2002, Cleveland City Council passed anti-predatory lending laws out of desperation. So did the city of Dayton and Toledo, because they figured if the state's not going to help us and the federal government is not going to help us, we're going to help ourselves. And then the state finally acted. They met within 30 days and they passed a law saying that Cleveland, Dayton, and Toledo can't pass laws in regards to bank practices. So at that point, we'd established the ground rules, and we told the world of bankers and predatory lenders that Ohio was the Wild West of lending, and they can come in and do whatever they want, and they did. We were at 13,500 foreclosures in 2006, and by the way, we led in the country between 2000 and 2007. We were first or second, Cuyahoga County, every one of those years. Ohio was first or second every one of those years. We were at 13,500 foreclosures in 2006, and by 2007, we were at 15,500, and I saw the statistics yesterday. Amazingly, in the first 4 months, I don't know if you saw Callahan's Cleveland Diary, we're actually on track to do more than the 15,500 we did last year, and I keep thinking there must be a point where we've foreclosed everything and there's nothing left. Well, we haven't reached it yet. The impact, and I would add that in 2000, most of those foreclosures, they were heavily Cleveland. By 2007, it was about a 50-50 split between Cleveland and the suburbs. And for those of you here, Euclid, Cleveland Heights, University Heights, you're not going to be surprised to hear this. Garfield Heights. I saw the list of vacant and foreclosed properties in Garfield Heights. It was in excess of 1,400. I saw the list in Cleveland Heights. It was 83 pages long, vacant or foreclosed, and each one of those had 21 entries. My calculations tell me it's about 1,700. Euclid, I know, is in the 1,500 range, and the problem is we don't even know. I ask about Cleveland, and depending on who you ask, I hear 10 or I hear 12,000. Let's just say this. We have a lot of vacant and foreclosed properties in Cleveland and in Cuyahoga County. And the interesting thing is how many people have been here from all over the world because of the attention about Cleveland. The international media has been here. And I always tell the story of we've had 4 German crews now here, but the one German crew says, where are the tent cities? Where are the tent cities? What does you mean? She says, well, where the people have been foreclosed. They thought there were tent cities under bridges. And what they didn't understand is that we are probably, like we are with retail, oversupplied in the area of housing. And obviously, even though you know the statistic, we've lost 92,000 people since 2000. Our county has lost more population than any other county except New Orleans Parish. And I think they had a hurricane a couple of years ago, which account for their population losses. So, in 2005, we resolved to create a foreclosure prevention program. We worked at the county's 211 line, and we opened it up in March of 2006. There have been about 10,000 calls to 211, about 5,500 face-to-face visits, and at last calculation, about 2,200 people were saved from foreclosure. But as I always remind people, for everybody we saved from foreclosure, 15 new foreclosures were filed in the Court of the Common Pleas. And what you have here are two of the best organizations, and I cannot say enough about the work that ESOP, CHN, Neighborhood Housing Services have done. They have done an amazing job, and they really have. And I was telling them earlier, they saved a lot of people. They saved families. They saved lives. I don't want to get into, and the one thing I don't want to get into today, and I talked about it in my City Club speech, everybody wants to know who's to blame, right? The analogy I use is, who's to blame? They said, go to the corner of 9th and Euclid. There's a bank robbery underway. You want to know who's to blame? The guy in there has got a gun and a mask on. And you run to the lobby, and there's 10,000 people in the lobby, and they all have guns and masks. Who do you arrest first? the borrowers who made bad decisions, the brokers who put them into bad loans, the realtors who should have known better, the mortgage banks who have gone out of business at the rate of one a day. I checked the implodometer, www.implodometer.com. It'll tell you all the banks have gone out of business. So it's a mess, and there's plenty of blame to go around, but I'm sorry, I'm going to say it on air, I've said it many times. Ultimately, the blame resides with the people that run the financial systems in this country. The financiers on Wall Street, who basically made trillions of dollars available, and they hid behind the myth of the American dream. You know, everybody should own a home. You know what, folks? Mark Stefanski said it best in an article in the New York Times about 3 months ago. 6 words: not everybody can own a home. And putting people into home ownership just because they're willing to lie about their income, or you're willing to fudge the documents about what they're making or what the property is worth, doesn't make it right, and we're suffering the fallout. We have been working hard, a group of us in Cuyahoga County, including Tony Brancatelli, and I know that Jay and Bob Jakumovich and others from the county and the city have been working with us on trying to create a land authority for Cuyahoga County that will insert government into the middle of this cycle of victimization that has occurred in Cuyahoga County. You know, I always see these predatory lenders, they were like the predatory animals that came in and killed you, or killed the animal, or killed the beast. And when they got through, we're at that stage now. There's been damage done, the dead are lying all over. Well, now the vultures are flying in. They want to pick up just the last bits of meat off the carcasses, and they're the people who sell houses on eBay. I get emails all the time saying, I just bought a house in Cleveland on eBay for $2,000. Can you please tell me what my property taxes will be? They're the people that sell 400 and 500 properties on a weekend auction on Rockside Road. What was that auction?
Hudson and Marshall.
Hudson and Marshall.
Tony, what's coming up, right?
Yeah, one's coming up. They're the people like Destiny Ventures who come to town and cut deals with banks who are willing to offload, just dump hundreds of properties at cut rate because the banks have already taken huge losses. They want to walk away. We have to insert county government, we have to insert all of us into this process and trying to break the cycle of victimization. And what we've looked at as a model is what's happened up in Flint, Michigan. And if you want to be depressed, go to Flint. They had, in 1978, 88,000 auto jobs, and I think today there's about 10,000 or 9,000 auto jobs. They were a city of 188,000 people. I think there are 110,000 people. They had a movie there made by the filmmaker Michael Moore. The movie was called Roger and Me, about the former head of General Motors and their attempt to revive the fortunes of Flint, all of which flopped. So up there, the county government started a land bank, and they created an entity that would go in and take these properties and create a new system of tax collection, a new system of in effect, holding these properties in trust for the public. Because the reality is that if we don't do it, that all you're going to see is people coming in attempting to make a fast buck in Cleveland, as they've been doing for years. They're going to do it in Maple Heights. They're going to do it in Warrensville Heights. Wherever they come in, they think there's a quick buck to make. They'll do it. They'll never hold what's best for the city as their ultimate goal. They'll hold what's best for them, what's best for them and not the city. And if you think you're immune, whether you're in a North Olmsted, all you have to do is just look at what's happening as the core, and I hate to use the word rots, but as the core suffers. You see neighborhoods that never experience these problems. I live in Rocky River. I have a foreclosed house across the street and 2 doors up, one at the end of the block. The one across the street from me sat for better than 2 years, started at $279, sold at $155, I think, eventually. So it's plummeting property values, and I don't want to even get into my talk about what's going to happen when we reappraise properties in the county, because you're not going to like the message. And the school levies that used to be a 4.9 request are going to be coming in at 6.9, because 4.9 won't do it anymore. And we know from history that when there's a request for additional millage, on top of the fact that the neighborhood is viewed as being in decline and people have anxiety, they're going to vote no on those levies. So it's a cycle that will continue and not continue up, it's going to continue down. So we have a lot of challenges in front of us. I'm not telling you a land reutilization corporation that we're working on is going to solve the problem, but I think it's going to give us a fighting chance to take some of these properties back, to insert ourselves in the middle of these auctions, to go to the Littons, to go to the Countrywides, to go to the Wells Fargos, the Citicorps, and say, oh no, you don't. And I'll tell you my strategy as we go through this presentation. So.